So investing in real estate was one of the best decisions I ever could have made. It allowed me to be a multimillionaire within a 10-year time period. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to start investing in real estate with 10K. Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, I have several points to show you. First, I'm going to talk to you about the Holy Grail, one of the best kept secrets in real estate and the best way to earn passive income. I'm going to talk about how I did it, and I'm also going to show you how one of my students, Matthew Drane, did it in a very short amount of time. So it's 2016, and I had been wholesaling houses, kind of making my way. I was an Army officer working like 12 and 13-hour days, and the wholesaling houses was working okay, but I stumbled upon the Holy Grail, one of the best ways of making passive income and actually some great money in real estate very quickly. And that little thing I stumbled on was vacant raw land. This was the best kept secret, and there's virtually no competition in this because no one is doing it. Everyone's driving by land every single day and they don't see houses on it. They don't see storage units. They don't see multifamily. They don't see apartment complexes or RV parks to rent out. There's nothing to make money, but I will tell you they are all wrong, and I was too, because I drove by this land every single day and I didn't realize I could make money by buying it at a crazy discount and turning around and selling it to someone else for just a little bit more. My favorite method is selling this stuff on a passive income way. I'm selling it seller financing, offering the financing to where I buy the land at maybe 30 or 40 cents on the dollar, and I turn around and sell it at retail 100 cents on the dollar and offer someone the ability to make payments to me for $300, $400, $500, $600 a month. So what do I mean by that? I'm looking at, let's just say for really round numbers, a piece of land that's worth $10,000. Just again, this is round numbers. Now I'm able to buy it for 33 cents on the dollar. So I'm gonna pay $3,300 for this land. I'm gonna get it under contract, and I'm gonna get myself at least a 30-day contract. That way I can market for my buyer before I even pay the seller. I'm gonna get it under contract for $3,300. I'm gonna advertise it on Craigslist and Facebook and all these other places and have a buyer ready to give me $3,300 down and $250 a month for 12 years at 12% interest. Those are just really crazy numbers, but we do 12% interest loans. Yes. We do 9% interest loans. Yes. Those are just round numbers though. So I'm gonna get this money every single month, and I'm gonna sell this thing at retail price. And you might be asking, well, Brent, why would someone wanna pay 12%? Or Brent, why would someone ever sell their land at 33 cents on the dollar? Let me just tell you, it happens every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. People go to pawn shops and pawn their Rolex watches for 10 cents on the dollar. Why did they do that? Because the pawn shop is a speedy, convenient way to getting someone money in their pocket fast or getting a problem off their shoulders. So I'm buying this stuff at crazy discounts and I'm turning around and selling it for a profit. So see the screenshot on the video. I'm pretty much paid every single day from these land notes. We offer seller financing, so that is where someone has to go to work to pay for what we are providing to them. We're providing the land and the financing. How do I find the money to do this? Well, I'm not able to seller finance every single one of them, so I have to sometimes flip the property really quickly, or I'll get it under contract. Remember I said I'll find the buyer? I'll get it under contract for $3,300 and I'll find a buyer for $8,000 and just assign that contract. So if I've got it under contract for $4,000 and I sell it to my cash buyer for $8,000, that's a quick $4,000 assignment fee that goes directly in my pocket, and I can just keep doing this and doing this and doing this until I get $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 and I buy the next property that's worth $90,000 for $30,000. And you might not believe me that I can get a $90,000 property for $30,000. You absolutely can. And this video shows you exact proof of it. So I'm gonna show you an example from one of my students named Matthew Drane, and he is doing this as well, and he's only been doing it for a very short time. Without further ado, I have Matthew Drane. How are you today, sir?
Brent Bowers, what's happening? I am great, and thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. I know you've got to get on a plane here in just a little bit, and you took time out of your schedule to do this. I'm honored. I'm inspired by how quickly you took action. I mean, first of all, how long have you actually been in the Land Sharks course with Wholesaling Inc?
Late December. So I joined as a Christmas gift to myself, and I jumped right in and got started. So
less than 2 months. You have been in less.
Correct.
That's wild. Well, tell me about yourself. Where you been? Where you at now? What does a family life look like? Are you
Sure.
just this amazing real estate rock star? And I know you are. Tell us about that too.
Well, I'm working on the latter, but I can tell you who I am to start. So I'm a father of two boys, Maxwell and Jackson. My wife and I have been married for 13 years. So I'm a husband as well. We have a third kid on the way this summer. So, when people ask me who I am, I always start with that. I'm a Midwest kid born in Cincinnati, and just growing up, always been around real estate. And the last 10 years have been doing commercial real estate brokerage full time. And I started buying real estate in 2005. So my first year out of undergrad. So I'm a family man who loves to do some deals. That's who I am.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and ring the victory bell for the third one on the way, because that is absolutely amazing. Congrats, man.
Thank you. Thanks.
I have 3 children myself. They're wild, crazy animals. And usually they're just running in the office, but they just left for school. So I got a little quiet time for the next few hours.
Likewise, as we're doing our calendars, this is the window where I know I have some quiet and a little bit of stillness. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to talk to you, and also a victory bell too for that 13 years of marriage. God bless you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's an accomplishment. Let's talk about what you've got going on. I mean, you came into the tribe, the Rhino tribe, about 2 months ago. What did that look like? I mean, because I remember talking to you about the 2 types of geniuses, like the Einstein E equals MC squared, the super complicated, and the other type of genius where this stuff is so simple. We just have to mail land owners and talk to them and get this stuff at a discount and turn around and make a profit. How has that looked for you? I want to hear about you now. I'm done talking.
Sure. Yeah. So I first have to start with, my background. I'm a trained commercial real estate broker. I was trained at a very reputable firm, a national brokerage firm. I actually led 2 offices for that company and, led 80 commercial brokers in a market that was highly competitive. So wow. I was trained in commercial real estate. Personally, I started out like a lot of people buying single family homes in 2005. And I've been through several variations of my real estate journey. And when I found the land sharks, the light bulb clicked. For me, real estate meant making 250 cold calls to owners, getting hung up on, cursed out. I mean, that was the streets that I was raised in, right? And it worked out very well. And I was a successful broker. But when I saw your platform and I saw your system, that's what made me buy into, there's this thing called wholesaling. Never knew about it. Been doing real estate since 2005, didn't even know what wholesaling was until 2020. I accidentally fell into my first 2 wholesale deals. I just put them under contract with the intent to buy. The market moved on me and I just accidentally sold them for a profit, right? So once I started to intentionally look for a business and a system that could consistently generate 10, 20, let's take the ceiling off, 30, 40, $50,000 a month in income, that's where I started to take a hard look at, your system and your process. So that's where I was. Where I am today, I have fully subscribed and bought into this new approach of land is my asset class of choice. I've owned apartment buildings, hotels, condos. I own an office building as a partner. But land for me is the simplest, most direct path to wealth. And that's what I'm bought into now. And that's where I'm at. So
that's incredible.
I don't know if I answered your question, but that was kind of the how I got here, feedback and content.
No, I love that because it's like you were traditional brokerage and, the 250 cold calls a day, which sounds just absolutely terrible. It seems like the road to your success has been kind of through the gutter, but I want to know what's exciting to me. And hopefully the listeners are thinking the same thing, or they probably are, is how does someone accidentally wholesale a property? Like, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I just saw massive imperfect action, like you're just taking action. So how did that happen?
So my first wholesale deal, which happened to be a land deal, I was laying up in the bed at 11 o'clock at night. One of those RIA blasts came through and it was a 5-acre parcel. Bryce was a wholesaler here in the market in Columbus. He sent out an e-blast. I see 5 acres listed for $13,000 and it's in Glenford, Ohio. It's about, 45 to an hour outside of Columbus. And I don't know much about land. I've never done a land deal up until this point. but I knew that 5 acres for 13,000 sounded pretty good, right?
Sounds like a
That's
good
a pretty
deal.
good price per acre, right? So I called Bryce, and this is what I like to highlight. Bryce was a wholesaler. He was marketing this deal for 13,000. I reached out to Bryce. Neither one of us really knew how to value the land, but my proposition to Bryce was, hey, look, man, I want to do this deal. I got to be honest with you. I think it's well below market price and market value. Would you be open to just doing this deal together?
Yeah.
And kind of like figuring out how to do land on the spot, on the fly, you and I. And we negotiated a deal structure. And, I found out that he actually had it under contract for 11,000.
Beautiful.
And we just agreed, hey, let's go ahead and close on this thing. And we split the purchase price 65-35. So I had 65% of all the expenses and responsibility. He had 35%. We closed on it. I found a local realtor who actually had bought another property from, and she said, yeah, this thing is worth, 30,000. So we literally cut the grass and put the deal on the market, and we closed for 28,000 in less than 30 days. That was my first quote unquote wholesale experience because, I kind of just fell into that deal. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what it was actually worth. But again, I did some quick due diligence and realized, hey, this is probably worth more. And Brent, you'll love this. Guess who bought it?
Oh man, I don't know.
The neighbor. The
neighbor.
It, right?
That's amazing. So how did the neighbor find out about it? That was for sale.
He saw it on Facebook Marketplace. The realtor put it on the MLS and also put it on several other platforms. And sure enough, the neighbor who owned 7 acres next door didn't want any more neighbors. So he bought the 5 acres and expanded his land. And 28,000 on the resale. So on my personal funds, it was about a 2.5x on my cash out of pocket in about 60 days total from when we closed on it. So
that's beautiful. So I was calculating from 11 to 28, 11,000 to 28,000, about a $17,000 profit. Did you split that 50-50 or did you split it to 65-30?
So we split it based off of what we put into the deal to close. So
beautiful.
About a 2.5x on my money. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So about $10,000 or so. I don't have the calculator.
Yeah, 11,000, about 11,000, 10,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
Man. And then what's so incredible about that is now you have the knowledge, like you've done one, so why not do more? And it's so crazy that you talked about the neighbor. We send neighbor letters, we send neighbor texts like, hey, we got the land for sale next door to you. Would you be interested in purchasing it? We could even hold some financing for you. Sometimes they don't even answer those texts or those phone calls, but what they always seem to answer or they see is the sign that we put out front, or on the tree 100%. Or on the side of the road or whatever, because the neighbors always want more. They never want more neighbors, but they don't mind owning more land. So that's beautiful. I'm really happy to hear that the neighbor purchased it. And who would pay more for it? Someone that wants to keep neighbors away, right?
100%. Exactly. And that's where the light bulb went off on, I was getting beat out of competition here in Columbus. I was somewhat new to this market because I lived in DC for 15 years. And that was the light bulb aha moment. Like, hey, everyone else is fighting for these single family deals, fighting for multifamily. I'm going to go buy dirt. And that was the first land deal. And I quickly, bought 2 other land deals for my own personal use before I even got into what we're doing now. So land is my new niche. And the reason that I love your program, in 2020, I also found mortgage note investing as a path. And, bought and sold over 15 mortgage notes in the last 18 months. So your program for me is like, it's Mecca. It is like, land and, mortgage notes combined. And I'm loving it so far.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes me more excited than anything, creating a passive income note. Yes, I love making the quick $11,000 paydays or $20,000, or sometimes, we've made up to $120,000 assignment fee on a piece of land. But what really gets me excited is, like, for instance, we just sold some land in Colorado, and we actually sold 2 parcels to the same buyer. They're putting $6,000 down for each of them. So we're getting not all of our money, but most of our money back out. But we just created 2 30-year mortgages at 12% interest. That's going to pay us for quite some time. So if we could do one of those a month for 5 years, we've got 60 of those, 60 mortgages paying us for the next 30 years. That's my retirement plan.
That's your retirement. That's your kids' college fund. That's a whole lot of wealth created right there, for sure.
So true. And we're not like burning the candle at both ends to do one of these a month.
Right.
Like this is very simple. Like let's hear about your structure. Are you having to do 250 cold calls to talk to land owners to buy a piece of land, or do you have an easier passive structure for that?
Yeah, so I'm very active. So my day to day is all real estate focused, but I have various buckets of real estate. So I'm consulting for brokerage companies and helping them train their agents and their brokers. I'm still buying single families and rehabbing. I'm still actively investing in multifamily properties. The notes, take a lot of my time. I have a mortgage company with 3 partners, and we now have a publicly backed company that's behind us. I don't need any more active income, right? So the way I'm structured, I use the same LLC that I've been using for, 7, 8 years. And I am mailing on average about 300 letters per week.
Okay.
So starting the first of the year, I've mailed about 1,300 mailers so far. And just to give you an idea of the ratio, my first mailer that I sent out was about 300 pieces of mail. And I got on that first mailer 3 signed contracts, just 2 of them faxed straight to me. Didn't even have a conversation, done, right? Now, with that, you learn that not every deal is worth buying. So of those 3 that signed, I passed on 1 and I am now in contract on 2. But, that's the type of system that I was looking for. I knew this thing worked, but it wasn't until I kind of saw the blueprint laid out on how to actually execute. So I mail out the letters. I have a e-fax that I set up, as well as, email and a phone number that's dedicated to responding to those letters. And an owner simply calls me and says, hey, I got your letter, get lost, which happens. Or, yeah, my wife and I have owned this piece of land for 8 years. We're paying taxes. We now live in Florida. And then here's the funny thing. I tied up a deal that I plan on actually building on. It's $8,500 was the purchase price. It's a nice 0.22 acre lot right outside of Columbus. The fella said, hey, I know it's worth $35,000. I just have no use for it. So it's not like I feel bad about negotiating with these owners of the property. With land, as you know, oftentimes whatever need or use they had is no longer relevant, and it's becoming more of a burden with them having to carry the property with taxes and cutting the grass than it is an asset. So the guy literally said, and he's a builder, like he knows what it's worth. He's like, yeah, it's probably worth 35. I have no use for it. The mayor lives in that subdivision. If you can take it off my hands, I'll be happy to sell it to you.
Wow. Because what are builders good at? They're good at building. They don't care about the land. They're not trying to squeeze every penny out of it.
So that's my system. And, when I get the response in, I then will do some due diligence, both on, is it buildable? Do I actually like the property? Because when you're doing that kind of volume, you do mail some properties that are not worth much, right? You just don't know what they are until you actually spend the time to dig into it. So, once I get the accepted offer in, I evaluate it. If there is an opportunity to still proceed, but at a discounted price, I renegotiate. On that one, I did renegotiate. And I'm building a portfolio. So my first option is to build and improve the land and build a house or build a dwelling on it. That seemed to be a better path for me than going out and competing in the market with existing products. Path number 2, like you said, is to, establish some reoccurring cash flow and to sell that lot or that tract on terms and then create a monthly income stream for my family and I. So those are the 2 real tracks that I have. And my strategy is really determined by what can I do with the dirt once I have a chance to really look at it closely.
That's amazing. Well, one thing I want to kind of go back on is you mentioned fax. Like, who uses fax machines anymore?
I didn't believe it until you mentioned it in your course, right? I mean, I didn't have a fax for my business 4 years ago, last year, but sure enough, the first accepted offer came through an e-fax. Now it's set up to where I get the PDF email, right? But there it was, signed at my offer, which was 35% of market value. So my offer was 35% of market value. He accepted it as is. and I renegotiated down from I think about 9,000 and change to 8,500.
For those of you listening, don't go out and buy a fax machine. You can get an eFax, myfax.com for like $9 a month. So don't go out and buy that. You know, it does. They pretty much, you can use your email to go back and forth. But I catch so much heck from that. Like people all the time are like, no way, I don't need a fax machine. But think about it. That builder had a fax machine. That old builder, what was he? Maybe 50, 60, 70 years old?
Yeah, he was retired in Florida. And, you know, when I first started in real estate, half the information that we traded was traded through fax. I mean, so people that have been doing this business, not to stereotype and generalize, but people who've been doing this business for 20 plus years probably still have a fax or did once use a fax. And especially those who are builders, old school real estate folks.
Yeah.
A fax is probably important, right? It just is. I don't know why.
It's all about providing that speed and the convenience and a way for them to communicate with you, not your way of communicating, but their way of communicating. You got to meet people where they're at. So I love that you 100%. Used that. You took the plan and you implemented it right away. I mean, really quickly, less than 2 months. And then I love the fact that you are dead on. Like you're getting land for less than 35 cents on the dollar. You send out 300 letters, you get 3 signed back. That's like 1% conversion. Yeah. And you mentioned like staying outside of the noise, all the competition for the multifamily and the houses. Like, you're kind of skirting right around that and picking up all the deals that everyone's running right past because we drive by land every day and we don't even look twice at it because we don't see a house on it. But you're creating a product. You're going to build one.
And let's talk about those numbers, right? So I have it under contract for 8,500 homes in the neighborhood. It's an established subdivision. They're trading between 275,000 and 315,000, you know, for 3-bedroom, 2-bath, what most would call starter homes. So while I did intend to build on it, I looked at the value. I still think, like the guy said, you know, it's a lot that's worth probably, you know, on the low end, 35,000, you know, market value. And, you know, made 3 phone calls and found a builder who wants to buy it, take it off my hands and build on it. So we're under agreement. It hasn't closed yet. So I won't ring the bell on that one yet, but it's under agreement for 25 grand. And, you know, I didn't touch it. I didn't go to the city and talk about plans and permits, but that builder also agreed, hey, and I fully disclosed, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know, what do you think? And he's like, I can build it for 170. He'll keep the spread, retain the equity. It's a win-win 3 ways.
That's amazing.
The seller won, I got it off his hands. I win, I have a nice spread on that deal. And the builder, he's buying a lot that's worth 35, 40 for 25 grand. He'll build it himself for 170. It'll be worth 300 plus. That's the deal all day, 3 times.
Absolutely. And that guy's going to be beating down your door for more of those, because think about it. If he sells that house for 275, and usually builders can pay anywhere from, 15 to 25% higher when it's more expensive property. Let's just say on the low end, you said 275 to 315 is what the houses are trading for. Yep. Let's just do times 15% of 275.
Yeah.
He just got a $41,000 lot for how much? 28 grand?
25. And here's the thing. I knew I was underselling it, right? But guess what? I've been doing brokerage a long time. I've never made 3 phone calls and made, when it's all said and done, what's that? After transactional costs, 16 grand.
Yeah.
I've never made 3 phone calls and made 16 grand with that little amount of effort. So
what is that? 16,000 divided by 3. So about, $5,300 a phone call. You think more people would pick up the phone if they knew they were going to make $5,300 every time they picked it up?
I mean, seriously. So, my strategy here, and I got more offers, and some people offered me 30, but, I'm a man of my word. I made a commitment to this guy. And once people started coming and offering me 30, I simply told the builder, I said, hey, look, just so you know, I'm going to honor my deal. But if he does 3, 5 of these deals a year, I want that repeat client partner that I know I can go dispo a deal to, who's going to perform as agreed, who's not going to retrade on me, and will just make my disposition much easier. So for me, it was more of a strategic decision just to stick with the guy who's going to do what he said he's going to do. I mean, greed can get in the way of a lot of things, and I don't want that problem.
No, you did the right thing. I remember one of my first deals. I got it under contract for 25,000. The land, this was 44 acres next to Schriever Air Force Base in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
And I got 44 acres under contract directly from the bank by sitting out exactly what you do. And we actually had to go back and forth. I wanted it for 20 because I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing back then. This is like 2016. And I knew it was worth like quite a bit of money, but I didn't realize it was worth over 100 grand.
Yep.
Well, they signed the contract at 25,000 on a Friday night. Well, I didn't sleep that night. I was up all night. I was like, oh my God, this bank's going to sue me if I don't come up with the 25,000. I've got to assign it. And I didn't have 25 grand. So I went out and I got some yellow signs, the corrugated plastic, and I was pounding them on the side of the road, like right on the side of the highway, nails inside of the stake, and writing on this sign, 44 acres, must sell, 38K, my phone number. And then I got kind of lazy, and then I just started doing 44 acres, 38K, my phone number. I put out 33 of these signs. And I remember Tom Kroll teaching me this in the very beginning, like, you got to put out 33 bandit signs when you have a house under contract. Well, I did 33 bandit signs for the land. Before I finished putting out these signs, I had a buyer that says, son, where are you at? Where are you at? I'm seeing these signs pop up all over the place. Me and my wife sold our ranch in Texas 2 weeks ago, and we've been driving around Colorado for 2 weeks looking for land, and these signs are popping up all over the place.
Wow.
And I was like, this is meant to be. Like, God orchestrated this phone call.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, where are you at? So we met actually at the land right on the street. We shook hands on 38K. I had it under contract for 25.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, Matthew, as soon as I shook this guy's hand, I got calls and offers of like 14,000 over. And then I had a crossroads. That extra 14 grand in 2016 with a brand new baby that we just had, new house, all these expenses.
That's a year of childcare right there.
I was thinking, I was like, man, that handshake, what's it worth to me?
Yeah.
And I remember I was so like distraught about it. I called Cody Hoffine and I was like, what do I do? And he said, Brent, what do you think is right? And I already knew what was right. Honor my word.
Yeah.
So I said, thanks for the call, Cody. That's all I needed.
That's it, man.
So I called that Texas rancher and I said, sir, listen, here's where it's at. I know I shook your hand. I know I agreed on this price of 38,000, but I got a higher offer of 14,000. What if we split the difference on that 14,000? I'll give you 7 grand just for meeting me on the side of the road. He said, no, son, I want the land. I said, all right, let's do it. And I remember making this call from the field in the Army while we were training, because it was like the next day. Because I was like, it was basically, I talked down on Saturday and then didn't sleep again on Sunday because all this was going in my head. And Monday we're out in the field and making this call. But it feels good knowing that that man has built his house. That's his new ranch, and they love the property. They got it for a smoking hot deal. You know, knowing what I know now, I might have seller financed it to this guy for 25 grand and still been holding the mortgage.
Or allowed a marketing window to see, you know, where you could actually field offers and where the market would respond. But guess what? You know, when you have a long-term mindset, it's not about how much you made on this deal. It's about what can I build over a period of time that's sustainable. And it's the one trick ponies, it's the one deal wonders that are always focused on how much on one particular transaction. Yeah. I'm not worried about one transaction. I want to do hundreds, thousands, over time. So this one deal to keep me up at night? No, I'm on to the next one.
That's right. Built to last, you know, and that 13,000 in 2016, it gave me a couple things. Proof of concept. The ability to know that I can go out there and make that phone ring if I need to. And I just made 13 grand. That's like life-changing money, especially when I was in the military. And I wasn't even making that in like 3 months. So
that's amazing. Yeah, your story is pretty fantastic. And that's what I think is so cool about our business is it doesn't matter if you're someone that's a trained attorney, a skilled, management consultant, someone who is active duty, serving our country. Like, it is a business that you can really build around most skill sets, and the skill sets that you lack, there is someone that is so much better at it than you are. Just outsource it. And that's been, my biggest investment so far is I have built the systems. I'm not licking stamps or licking envelopes and putting stamps on mailers. I'm using the people who do this every day, and I'm paying what they're worth. And this one deal will wipe out all of my investment to date in this business, including the course, including systems and subscriptions. This one deal will wipe my expenses clean and still leave me with a very substantial profit to then have some working capital to keep my business going. So I couldn't be happier right now. And I'm going to continue to mail at that rate of about 300 a week. But quite honestly, now that I've seen and now that I've listened to a few more podcasts, particularly Trevor's a few weeks ago, I'm ready to do deals that made me want to throw up on my shoes.
And, Trevor's a wild animal. Trevor Proban, this guy.
Big things. While this first deal was great, I am refining some of that criteria because, I do have a fair amount of background and experience in real estate. So, these deals are still relatively small. I did about 400 million or so in sales throughout my brokerage career. So, I'm ready to up my game to bigger pieces of tracks and bigger properties. So
that's beautiful. Well, Matthew, if you could give any advice to the listener before I let you go jump on that plane, what would it be?
I would say imperfect action, really is where it starts. And I think you have to just do it, right? I mean, I've been someone that's fallen into the analysis or paralysis by analysis trap in my career, in my life. And this business is so simple to execute that it makes it difficult to execute, right? Because you almost just don't believe that if I do these things in this order, in this sequence, that the outcome will be what I desire. But I can guarantee you, if you just follow the guidance, Brent, I told you before we started the call, I really am fortunate. I just thank you and the entire, Land Shark tribe, because we're a group of people who all want the best for each other, are more than willing to share our experiences. And your leadership and the team's leadership, you give us everything you need to start the business. The only thing you cannot do for us is send out the mail and take the action, right? Yeah. Everything else is done for us. So I just say, look, stop listening, stop reading books, jump in and just get your hands dirty and do it. You'll learn more by mistakes than you will, reading and reviewing and trying to be perfect along the way.
That is solid. Stop reading books, turn the noise off, turn YouTube off, stop listening and learning and educating and start using the knowledge that you have now and pulling the trigger. Like, I'll never forget it. When I was a brand new second lieutenant, my battalion commander called me in his office. He said, Brent, and I was a fuel and water platoon leader. I was in charge of making sure the entire battalion was fueled up and we had water on missions and field trainings. He said, Brent, I don't pay you to pump the fuel. I don't pay you to sanitize and clean the water. I pay you to make sure it happens. That's it. Like, as business owners, we just put the team together to make sure those mailers go out to talk to landowners.
That's it, 100%. And I hope we have a little bit more time, because I do have a deal story that I like to share. But it's up to you.
Go ahead.
We run out of time.
Go ahead. I'm just being conscious because I don't want that plane leaving without you.
All right. So this deal story is a really cool one because it does involve both the land as well as seller financing. So Bryce, the same fellow that we did our first deal together here in Ohio, he called me. And here's another lesson. By including him on that deal and in the upside, who do you think was the first person he called when he had another land deal tied up?
You, my friend.
He called me, right? So great guy. He taught me a lot, and we still have a good relationship to this day. But he had negotiated 12 contiguous lots here in Columbus, vacant, unimproved, zoned residential. So 12, and they were all small. They're about 0.12 acre lots, right? So tiny lots, but contiguous. And he called me and said, hey, man, I got this deal, $25,000 for 12 lots, contiguous. You want to do it? And I said, of course, hey, we just made some money together. Let's keep it rolling. And we agreed to do the deal, and we're going to wholesale it. And we thought we were going to find someone that was going to build, if not 12, at least 6 single family homes on these 12 contiguous lots. We went into contract, or at least verbal agreement, twice. We knew it was worth something. We knew it was worth at least 60,000, maybe 70,000. And we negotiated around that number. We have it at 25, negotiating around 65, 70, but it fell out twice for whatever reason. So we kind of get to the last day or two of our rope, and Bryce and I had a conversation, and he said, hey, man, I don't know if I want to move forward with this. So we negotiated a fee. So I did pay him, a portion But at this point, I assumed all the risk. And I called the seller and I said, hey, I know we're supposed to close tomorrow. I still want to do the deal. We agreed to $25,000. I'm not going to ask you for a discount, but I am going to ask you, will you hold paper? How about I give you $5,000, I pay all the closing costs, but you agree to hold $20,000 in seller financing for 18 months. And the interest rate, it was 7%. It was nominal, right? So, $20,000 financed over 18 months at 7%. My monthly carry was less than $100 a month, right? But my thought process was, I know there's a buyer out there for this deal. I know there's a way that I could build myself. At the time, I didn't have the bandwidth, from a contractor standpoint, or really the capital to build 6 houses.
Right.
I wasn't savvy enough to think about who's the right partner that I can reach out to, but I knew that I had to buy some time. So I literally bought 18 months to figure it out. And then sure enough, 6 months into it, didn't even cut the grass, never even went to the property, didn't do anything, maybe paid 1 round of taxes. I got a phone call. There was a neighbor who was purchasing 78 identical lots right next to my 12. And sure enough, they bought my 12 for $71,000.
Woo!
At this point, I had less than $6,000 into the deal. I had my $5,000 down payment and a couple of payments, to the seller. And, after I paid off the seller's $20,000, about $5,000 or $6,000 in real estate commission, because I did pay an above market commission, $71,000 when I haven't touched the land. Hey, I'll pay you $5,000 or $6,000, right? So on that one, I had about a $45,000 profit, which is literally a 900% return on that $5,000 outlay, in less than 6 months.
I usually don't ring the bell twice on a podcast, but I think that deserves it.
I think so. I've been waiting for that bell, man. I've been waiting for that one. Thank you.
Let me send you one. If I haven't sent you one already, shoot me your address and I will send you a victory bell, as well as we got to get you a Land Shark shirt as well.
Yeah, I know. It'll go well up under this blazer here for sure.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, that's about all the time we have for today. Matthew, thank you so much for being so generous and sharing all your wisdom and just kind of giving people, the understanding that this can be done. It's easier than we think, but it takes work as well. Like I heard you taking action and work. Guys, this man has 2 children and 1 more on the way. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's in the mortgages. He's in the commercial real estate and single family homes. He is busy, but still building a business of land, and just it's so amazing. Getting faxes, doing $40-something thousand deals. Matthew, thank you so much for sharing. And guys, if you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share it to them. And also, if you haven't already, rate and review our Wholesaling Inc. podcast. The algorithm absolutely loves it, and we can get this word out to more people. If you're interested in seeing if land is right for you, head on over to wholesalinginc.com/land and schedule a call with us, and we'll see what your real estate goals are. Matthew, thank you so much. Safe travels, and go catch that plane.
100%. Thank you so much, Brent. I appreciate it.
God bless.
Take care.
Guys, I hope you found power in that video. I hope that gives you the confidence to jump on this whole land thing, the holy grail of passive income, the best way to make a fortune in real estate, and nobody is doing this. So definitely smash that big red subscribe button, like this video, and if you're interested in finding out more or maybe scheduling a call with me and my team to see if this is a good fit for you, head on over to thelandsharks.com. That's thelandsharks.com. It's on the screen, and I can't wait to talk to you.